And still on the Emefiele and DSS saga, we have Lagi Innocent, the former Attorney General of Nasarawa State, joining us live from Nasarawa. Good evening and thank you for joining us.
Good evening and thanks for having me.
All right, quick one. What's your reaction to the face-off between officials of the DSS and officers of NTOS in Lagos regarding the custody of Emefiele?
Utter, utter shock, utter disappointed in the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I mean, we have a commander-in-chief, and then you have two armed agencies of the government having a brow in public over an issue that ought to have been taken over by another agency of government, another arm of government in that case. So it is pretty disturbing, it's pretty scary, and it's pretty disappointing for me.
All right, this is not the first time the DSS is disobeying court orders, and Nigerians have been expressing fear over the excesses of the agency. What do you have to say? What do you think can be done?
Yeah, I mean, the difference between this time and any other time is that what they did was abduct MFLA from the system. Let me give you a background of what had happened so that you can understand how different the situation is. Now, when a person is arraigned or when a person is alleged to have committed an offense, he can be in the custody of the DSS and they have control over the person until he is taken to court. The moment MFLA was taken to court and the charge level against him were read to him, he became the property of the court and not the DSS. So if the court had taken jurisdiction over him and over his trial, the DSS is out. It can only be a participant as a prosecutor. It has no power over what the court may decide to do with MFLA. The court could have discharged him yesterday, rightly or wrongly. But if the court ordered that he be kept custody, what the DSS did was this man from state. This is not an official jurisdiction. The DSS is not above the law. The DSS is not above the court. The DSS cannot take a person ordered by court to be in a correctional facility to their facility officially. So clearly what they did is not only unconstitutional, it is actually treasonable to act in that manner to the institutions of this country. And we can as quickly go to the provisions of Section 1, subsection 2 of the Constitution, which says nobody can take control of the governance of this country except as provided under the Constitution. So if the Constitution says any man who is arraigned before a court has a right to fair hearing and has a right to be trial in public, to pick a man from court and from trial to your personal detention facility, not officially ordered by the court, you take him from an order of court to your place on your own calling, not on any legal or not only on any legal basis. So that is clearly treasonable. And that's the least I can say about the situation.
So what specifically can be done to avoid a repetition of this? And given the fact that we also don't have this
It is,
between
it is,
the agency and individuals alone, even government agencies get into fights. We have seen the case of EFCC and DSS fighting over office in Lagos. What can be done precisely by the government to prevent a repetition of this?
the only thing that can be done under this circumstance is that the president of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the commander in chief, and I'll be emphatic about this, commander in chief of all the armed forces. The correctional services is an armed force. The Nigerian security, the DSS is also an armed force. The only person who can call order in this circumstance is the president, who is the commander in chief of all the agencies. Because the controller of the correctional services cannot do anything to the DSS. And I also think the DSS cannot also continue to do what they are doing to the correctional services because they are armed. They are armed and empowered to carry people to custody that they are ordered to carry. So if, for example, the correctional services want to carry out their functions as enshrined by law, they will definitely take their arms and go to the DSS office and retrieve Emefiele back to their custody. And when you have a situation like that, we have anarchy. You have one armed institution fighting another armed institution, and the only person who can call order between them is the one person who is the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces, because they are each an armed force that is not answerable to the other. So the only person that all of them are answerable to will be the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
But it's over 24 hours now, and there's been no statement on that from the presidency.
Yeah, I mean, everybody should get ready and pick up their arms, because the way we are going, the country is beginning to show it is governed by power and not governed by law. So we don't know where this is going. I mean, if this happens to a sister armed agency, you can imagine what will happen to the judiciary, for example, that only has constitutional and legal powers and do not have armed powers going forward. So what do you say about the legislature that only have legislative powers and only does not have armed powers? If one arm of government that may be better prepared or equipped than the other arm of government will take over that arm of government and take over its functions, as happened in this case. So this is a very dangerous trend. We cannot talk about it around politics. This has gone beyond that. There is mutiny in the country, and somebody has to call that to order.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us at this time.
Thank you very much for having me. And sorry, the courts are on vacation. I have to make this call.
No problem. Thank you very much. And that was Langsent, the former Attorney General of Nasarawa State,